Hey, Princess India here. I just wanted to share a quick little bit of inspo with you. So, Spirit led me to start decluttering my life. I utilized the Kamari method and I started with my closet because the whole little process starts with clothes. And I wanted to share the finished product with you guys. Literally, my closet has never looked like this, like in life. Like, I'm literally not kidding. But that also inspired me to declutter the rest of my life. And as I cleaned, I got so many spiritual epiphanies. It started a whole little purge. I cried and things, a lot of releasing going on, but I feel so much lighter. And I just wanted to inspire you guys to take that into consideration as we're going into the retrograde. It's a great time to clear out your life, get a jump start on your spring cleaning, and it's also an explanation for why you're only going to see my hands this month, because the rest of my house is a total mess. I love you. On to your March reading.
Energy. Hello, Leo. We're going to jump right into your reading. We're going to be looking at a different spread, but just a quick little run through of what we're going to be looking at is here. We're going to be looking at the main source of unhappiness or discontentment in your life in the month of March and, throughout the Mercury retrograde. So looking at speaking of the retrograde, I cannot talk. Anywho. So looking at the main thing that's going to be kind of ruffling your feathers or may already be kind of ruffling your feathers, right? Then we're going to be looking at what the main challenges to overcome to combat this. Then we're going to be looking at 3 areas of release. This is what to release to benefit your physical well-being and how to do that. This is what to release for your emotional well-being and how to do that. This is going to be what to release for your spiritual well-being and how to do that. And lastly, we're going to be looking at what it is you're releasing these things to make room for and how to co-create with spirit or work with spirit to lead that into your life or to make room for that, creating the space for that in your life. And then we're going to end out with some oracles and what's not or whatever. So first and foremost, we're going to look at what the main source of your unhappiness or your discontentment is for the month of March. And we have the Emperor. So this can be an Aries person first and foremost, or it can be an oppressive figure or just a father figure. I don't want to necessarily go straight to oppressive just for the simple fact that the Emperor could just be a person that's in authority, right? So oh, good Lord. Sorry. My bad, y'all. But it could simply just be a person that's in authority that's making things very complex and difficult for you, or is the source of unhappiness. So that could be like, a boss, a dad, uncle, whatever. Usually an authority figure that kind of rules with an iron fist. I don't want to say, I don't want to, I don't want to paint the Emperor as like a super bad dude, just mostly because I don't read this deck in the reverse, and the Emperor reverse is just horrendous. But it's just the fact of it's no BS kind of person. You know what I mean? It's like they're very dry, they're very stoic. It's like the kind of person where you could tell them a cornball joke that really isn't funny. But you know how people laugh at corny jokes because it's corny and that, by default makes it funny? It's like that's the only guy that's not laughing. He's very serious faced and he's like, I really don't understand why that's so funny. Now the challenge in reference to this figure, and just to kind of open it up a little bit more, this could be a specific figure or it could just be an energy. It could be an oppressive energy or a dominating energy that's very structured and regimented that you may feel that you have to fall in line to, or feeling as if you need to show up that way. So kind of how I described that. It could be you being in a leadership position and feeling that in order to gain respect that you have to show up this way, or in order for your life to be balanced or for you to build a stable foundation for yourself or your family or spouse or what have you, that you have to show up as this person. Yet with this being in the position of your main source of unhappiness in the month of March, that's something that we want to look at, especially if it's feeling as if you need to show up as this figure in order to get things accomplished, you know? And just a little segue, because I feel like I'm rambling. And when I tell my stories, in the event that I did ramble and that didn't make sense, that always kind of helps me out. So back in the day, years ago, when I was younger, I was a manager, right? And I felt that because I was younger, I felt like I needed to be a jerk, you know, and be like zero tolerance, no nonsense. You're 2 minutes late, you're fired. Your kid is sick, you're fired. Because I don't understand why you're not at work when your kid is sick. Your kid is sick, you're not sick, right? Like zero compassion, okay? And truth of the matter is, in real life, it's like I'm a total marshmallow, right? But I was under the impression that people didn't respect marshmallows. You know what I mean? Which they don't. But there needs to be a balance is the point that I'm trying to drive home here. Because especially with the Emperor being number 4, it's like 4 is a number of balance. So even though there's a hard exterior here, you want to have this balance to where there's boundaries and there's expectations that are set, but it's not a need to be like a total jerk like I was being. You know what I mean? Like firing someone for being like 60 seconds late. Like seriously? Like that's zero tolerance, that's tyrannical, and that's when you're getting to like Emperor reverse type of thing. So I'm not implying that Leo is being a tyrant at all. It's like what my point is saying that if you're under the, or if you have been showing up like this in any way to gain like respect or move up in a company, or, you know, even in a relationship to make sure that a person doesn't take advantage of you, it's not really so much about that. And I said this in someone else's reading, I think it was Libra. It's like not wanting to get into this energy unbalanced in the sense where it's too focused on physical, external aggression, action externally in order to get things done. Because operating too much in this energy, like I told Libra, because it has to be like a happy balance between the two of the like divine feminine, because it's like divine masculine energy. So with divine feminine, it's more or less that receptivity. So it's receiving wisdom from spirit of knowing what to do and using this external exertion to accomplish it, as opposed to trying to accomplish things with just this energy and not the spiritual influence, because it creates an imbalance and causes the Emperor energy, which is a very necessary, needed energy. And that's why I was saying I don't want to make it seem like super negative, because it's not. It's very necessary, but it's balancing it out with a divine feminine energy so that it doesn't get over to the other side of the scale of like toxic masculinity, if that makes sense. That was so hard to get out. It is so hard for me to explain myself during Mercury retrograde, I swear. So this is challenged by, oh, that's perfect. Where were you 5 minutes ago, Justice card? Why didn't I turn you over first? Whew. The challenge to overcome this month is justice, that of which is balance, is leveling things out. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even need to explain this, because this is everything that I said with the Emperor. It's balancing out this divine masculine energy with what would be like the Empress energy. So it's like the Empress being behind the Emperor. So there's nothing wrong. Like I said, nobody wants a marshmallow, like a pushover boss. It's like, oh, you can be like 7 hours late and just work 1 hour and I'll pay you for 8. You know, you don't want to be like that. But then it's like you don't want to be too stern and stoic either. And I'm saying this not in the sense of can and cannot, but to give you insight into what the source of the unhappiness is. So what is going to balance this out? God, I feel like I'm making zero sense. What's going to balance this out is stepping into this justice energy. It's seeing the need for this equal give and take and balance, and seeing where this is necessary, but also seeing where that nurturing, receptive, you know, fruitful, abundance type of energy is necessary as well. And there being an equal balance between the two. Oh my God, please let that make sense. because I feel like I'm talking nonsense right now. So anyway, so this is what the central issue is for this month. This could also be an Aries person or a Libra person. Now, moving on to what to release for your physical well-being, we have the 5 of Wands. Now, this is my ceasefire card, and I'm still seeing this in that same energy of stepping into your power. In the original Rider-Waite, everyone here is like kind of fighting with each other, and there's chaos. So it's more or less for the benefit of your physical well-being. Of course, if you're hanging out with people that are slapping people with wands, you might not want to do that, you know, for your physical well-being. But other than that, you know, it's investing your energy into situations that are chaotic, right? And borderlining on toxic, where, you know how sometimes, like, if you'll get into an argument with someone and it keeps going in circles and circles and circles and circles, it's more or less for your own betterment and physical well-being. Anything that you feel like is, you know, centralized around like fighting, bickering, you know, conflict, competition, one-upmanship, anything within that realm, it's making the decision to step into your power and away from it. And it's more or less me seeing you as the, I don't know what the word for that is. It's like a chemistry word. It's like when there's a chemical reaction, it's whatever that word is for the thing that ignites the chemical reaction. It's almost like you're manifesting this by stepping into your power in an inner sense. And that's also a theme that's been coming up this month. Because I feel like what the issue has been, the unhappiness is rooted in the fact that Leo has been stepping into their power, but it's too much in an external action way, as opposed to, and I think I said that with Pisces. I don't know, y'all. I've done so many readings, I can't remember if that was, it was somewhere between Pisces, Taurus, and Aries. And how I was describing it was, I think it was Pisces, because it was something with the Magician card. So it's more or less like acting in an external sense to get something accomplished, and that almost making it harder to accomplish, because the whole lesson is to take a seat within one's inner power and to manifest the power within, without, as opposed to gaining power by acting solely without. You know what I mean? Like that external aggression, so to speak. So I'm seeing that same theme here. It's more or less my decision of not wanting to, you know, be in anything that's causing unrest or chaos in my life, and me standing in my power to say no more, I'm not doing this, that inadvertently causes the external world to mirror your internal world, which is not being about conflict, right? So how you would release that? The Hierophant. It's another 5. Okay. Wow. Okay. 5 and 5 is 10. I've been getting 2 10s, but now I got 2 5s, whatever. Anywho, but so we have the Hierophant. So this is more or less how it's aligning with your moral code. So this to me is a depiction of what integrity looks like, because integrity, simply put, is one's values, right? Having your own value system. If you don't know what that is, I have a free printable on how to find out which values are on my site. But anyway, so if you want to know what your values are, you can do that. But if you already know what they are, integrity is simply speaking and acting, right, in alignment with your values, making decisions in alignment with your values. And when what you say and what you do are in alignment with what it is that you stand for, the byproduct of that is integrity, right? Because it's a person who is acting in alignment with their truth. So in so many words, it's showing you yet again in a physical sense, it's going to cultivate like balance in your physical life. And that can be in any aspect. Because I mean, physical life, this could be in your money, you know, this could be in your relationships, this could be in work. It's more or less, if you're a person who is, you know, loyal and dependable, it's making sure your actions align with that value. Are you speaking and acting like a person who's loyal and dependable? And in so many words, the lack thereof is what would be causing the conflict, you know, in one's external life. And the realization of this and choosing to act in alignment with it is standing up and causing everyone to reflect that balance within. So the cohesion within of one's values and their actions is inadvertently what solves any external conflicts, right? So it's kind of like that mirror effect type of deal. Now for your emotional well-being, I don't know why, y'all, it's like it's hard for me to breathe right now. Whew. I just realized that. You can't see me, but it's like literally my back was like straight up and my shoulders were to my ears. And it's like, because with Libra, I felt like this kind of energy. But it's like with Leo, it's like I feel my chest, dog. Like I'm not taking deep breaths. It feels like I'm breathing like and like I'm not taking deep breaths. Jeez, I need to shake that off. Like I'm just realizing that. It's like a scatterbrained, and I'm not speaking clearly because it's almost like I'm going a mile a minute inside of me. Where is my lighter? That is so odd. I don't know how. I just got enveloped in that. It didn't realize it until like, I'm like, why is it that I cannot freaking breathe? Like I need to take a breath or something, yo. I'm sorry, Leo. If you guys are anxious, it feels like a worry. Man, I gotta slow down. Like I literally did not notice I was doing that. And it's like I literally was having trouble breathing. Whew. All right. Goodness gracious. Grab a little couple of stones here. Okay. Sorry, Leo. Legit. If you guys are going through similar to what Libra is going through with, it's a very shaky energy, yo. Like, and I feel it all in my chest. It's like a nervousness similar to stage fright. Like, say if you're about to speak in front of like hundreds or thousands of people, and it's like you're waiting on the stage, and it's like that nervousness overcomes you to where, you know, it's like your hands are shaking and you're taking shallow breaths because you're so nervous. That's why I had trouble speaking because it's just like this unrest almost. Wow, it's anyway, Leo, I am picking up on somebody's energy. It's redonkulous. So I'm just trying to ground myself a little bit. I apologize for that. But which is unusual because y'all are fire signs. This typically happens to me with Gemini, like more often than not. But anyway, what you need to release for your emotional well-being. Wow, okay. Toxic bonds. So with this being in your emotional space, anything that has more dominion over your emotions than you do, right? So whether that's a person outside of yourself, if it's a circumstance, if it's people, what have you, if it's anything that makes you step out of your ebb and flow of emotions, right? So kind of like, see what I just experienced, like those emotions I was feeling like I couldn't breathe, you know, that anxiousness, that nervousness, that unsettling feeling, like something like that taking over you. And say, like, with me grounding myself right now, needing to take a minute and breathe so I can disconnect from that, because it's like, okay, that's not mine. I'm not going to take ownership of that. Let me kind of regroup, take a breath for a second, clear up this energy and reground myself. You know what I mean? Because if I didn't do that and I allowed that to completely overtake me, internalize it and take it as my own, and that's kind of what we were talking about last month, is like when emotions come, it's allowing it to flow through us as opposed to holding on to it and taking ownership of it and making it ours, right? That's what I'm seeing here in this devil card. So over the course of the month of March, or something you'll be reflecting on through the retrograde, is how I acknowledge that, like, this is not me. I'm feeling this. This isn't me. And whether that's in an emotion or even in an action, it's like, this isn't in alignment with me. This isn't my truth. This isn't how I decide to show up. This is not how I want to engage. I don't want to be a part of that. And it's choosing to disengage from it, right? And I'm seeing this for you guys in an emotional space, because what I'm kind of seeing is it's being at the will of one's emotions, right? And something or someone or even just your emotions having more dominion over you. So, and what was this? It was a book I was reading. I think it's the 7 habits. What is that? The 7 habits of highly effective people. There's a page in that book that talks about what's your center, right? And I had never even heard of this before, but I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I've heard of one of the centers is self-centered, but I'd never heard the explanation that the guy utilizes in the book. And he was saying that, you know, because, you know, in the spiritual community, we'll talk about finding your center. And there's different types of centered. You can be spouse-centered, you can be work-centered, you can be family-centered, you can be self-centered. It's a different, you know, 7 or 8 different types of centers. But my point is here, I was shocked with the definition that he gave for self-centered, in the sense that he said the worst kind of center to have is to be centered upon the self, because it puts you at the will of the self. So when the self feels low, everything is low, because that's the center. And the self is the most up and down fluctuating thing, right? So if we're centered on, you know, solely the self, that means when self is feeling bad, everything is bad. When self is good, everything is good. But then when self is sad, everything is sad, you know? So it's kind of, it puts you into that all or nothing type of thing. And of course, you know, the devil energy is extremism. So it's more or less anything that's making you feel emotions to the extreme, or taking you outside of yourself to where you've lost control of it and now it's gained dominion over you, right? So whatever that is for you, because I feel like that could be a myriad of different things for a myriad of different people. But whatever that kind of hits home with, it's relinquishing that control over you, and how you would gain that control. Oh, wonderful. And another 5. That's 3 5s. It's major transformation, dag nabbit, son of a gun. We have the 5 of Pentacles, right? So with this, and I love how this card looks in this deck, it's more or less these two have bowed out. So it's almost as if we were looking at just these two together. It's realizing I've lost control of my emotions. My emotions have control over me. So I'm just going to accept that. I'm just going to stay out in the cold, sad, hoping that someone comes to rescue me. Not this chick. She's like, bump that. It's cold out here. I don't like this. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to fight my way out of this, right? And that's what I'm seeing with Leo. It's like Leo is this lady right here. It's like, regardless of what it is, I'm not going to wait for, you know, someone to do it for me. I'm not just going to sit here and accept it. I'm going to take back my power, stand in my truth, you know, balance that out. Because, of course, we all find ourselves in negative energies or what have you. But the balance is in the fact of not going to the extreme of bowing out and giving in to whatever, you know, this bond or even control is over your life. And it's making the decision to take the power back, like taking your power back from the proverbial devil or Capricorn person. I had to throw that in there. But anyway, what you want to release for your spiritual well-being? Oh, the 3 of Cups. This again to me is imbalance, because I'm looking at the 3 here. I'm looking at these 5s. I'm even looking at the fact that the devil is a set of 3 5s. They're all imbalanced numbers. You know what I mean? So this is more or less, to me, it's for your spiritual well-being. It's releasing extremism. Anything in the emotional realm that is too much of a good thing. Because I can look at this 3 of Cups as well as, you know how they say, like, what is it? All work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy, right? So it can be that or the other side of it, like all play and no work. And there's a need again with the Justice. The challenge is to balance these things out. So just like the Emperor, I described it in a sense of an extreme of external action. It's a need to kind of pull that back, and not to say like don't act, right? Because even if we look at the devil as like addiction, right? And you're addicted to Cokes, it's not to say that you got to totally stop drinking Cokes or totally stop drinking Pike from Starbucks, which is freaking amazing and like makes you really hyper. And like, I'm going to stop talking about it because I'm not going to be a bad influence. Whew, man, that's the best coffee in America. But anyway, So anything here, it's not to say that you can't dabble, or that if you're, working out and stuff, that you can't have a Tootsie Roll at Planet Fitness. It's just not doing things to the extreme, like all the way to the left or all the way to the right. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. It's totally fine to have fun, like if you're in that authority position, it's totally cool for you to be a boss. Yes, you do need to set boundaries. Yes, you do need to have expectations for your employees, but it doesn't mean that you can't joke with them from time to time or laugh at a corny joke that obviously wasn't funny, but we're laughing just because it's funny that it's not funny. You know what I'm saying? But it's just not doing too much of something, right? So it's more or less getting that solid ground, but knowing that, in everything in life, it's like a Likert scale. So we have our left and we have our right. But our goal is to be in the middle. But, balance is not a static state. You know what I mean? It's always going to be oscillating between two extremes. But it's just the simple fact of making sure that you're staying somewhere in the middle, if that makes sense, right? So for your spiritual well-being, it's allowing, business and pleasure, but within reason, right? Now, how? We have the King of Wands. So it's more or less, again, the King of Wands is an amazing person in the fact that he's entrepreneurial. He's a business person, but he's also rather creative. He's powerful, right? The guy's oozing with creativity and passion, right? And the thought of, and not to, kind of rag on the emperor here, but I mean, home dude in this picture don't look too passionate. Like I said, his underwear is made out of iron, and that can't possibly be comfortable. You know what I mean? But again, the challenge is balancing it out. It's like you can be a powerful authority figure that does not demand respect, but exudes it. And why? Through integrity. It's the fact of that consistency of the fact that your inner power illuminates from you. So there's no need to demand respect when everything oozing from your being demands to be respected without saying a word. Like, that's true authority and true power, of the fact of walking into a space. And that's like what I've been talking to everyone about visualization and embodying that power. Like, true power comes from within, when you illuminate of it, when your aura reeks of it. You know what I mean? Where you walk in and there's no question, oh, that's the king. So it's more or less for you guys to see yourself. And I think this is very interesting with just these authority figures that I'm seeing here, the shot callers, so to speak. You know what I mean? But again, it brings us back to not being in the extreme on either side, not to be a megalomaniac tyrant and not to be a fluffy marshmallow. Somewhere in between the two within reason, right? So this is more or less how is stepping into your power and being that balanced figure like the King of Wands, being able to be receptive enough to that divine feminine energy to be able to receive inspiration for creativity, but also acting on that, with that masculine energy, that conqueror spirit, so to speak, that executor, if you will, right? Now, lastly, looking at what to make room for. So these are the things that are being released. Anything that is in conflict to our truth, right? Anything that leaves us emotionally bankrupt, leaves us feeling left out in the cold, right? Out of control of our circumstances. And anything that brings us out of balance or out of alignment spiritually. Anything that ends up in, I feel the need to say this, for some it could be drinking a little too much. Anything that's taking us out of that co-creative, powerful spirit in order to manifest what it is that we're aspiring, gosh, I cannot talk, aspiring to manifest with spirit, right? So these things being released is us making room for, woo, a King of Cups. Oh, really? So we can look at this a couple of ways. This could be a King of Cups, so Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio person, coming into our lives, or it could be simply emotional balance within the self, right? That's achieving that middle road, But I really want to say it's a person, which is why I really want to clarify this, because I really feel like it might be a person. So in so many ways, it's like this is preparing you for potentially a little love over, you know, from a King of Cups person. Or clearing out, wow, you know what? This is giving me a whole different way of looking at this. If that is a King of Cups person, wow. Okay, just a quick little run through. If you keep the same essence of everything that I said, this could potentially be a divorce very easily. It could be a divorce very easily. So just because I don't want to keep you guys here forever, because it's about to be 30 minutes. But if you keep that same theme that I was describing here, and you're more or less looking at like your main source of discontentment and unhappiness being this emperor figure, and this being like a male or a female for whatever it is that you're into. And this could be someone that you're married to. The challenge could be ending a commitment or a marriage with this particular person. And even if we went as far as looking at with the justice here and the devil, it could be a karmic relationship. You know what I'm saying? And this very well could be making the decision to cut ties with this person because they consistently leave you feeling left out of the cold, and making a decision to go in the direction of what it is that you want, right? So more or less, releasing for your spiritual well-being is, and I'm just, you know, throwing this out here, it could be third-party situations, because it could have been married to a little megalomaniac cheater on some stuff. And that's all the side pieces and things, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, I'm not a part of the harem anymore, especially if it's a narcissist, because you know, narcissists have harems and things. But anyway, so this is a quick run through in the event that this is a relationship situation. So it's more or less cutting ties and ending things with this particular person that isn't in alignment with you, to make room for a King of Cups person, which would be Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, right? Or this could just simply be representative of your own emotional well-being. But and that could be, you know, that could also be representative of a caring career path as well. Pursuing a caring career path. So counselor, in so many words. I usually see the Queen of Cups more as the counselor person, but I mean, the King of Cups could be a good counselor too, and as well as the King of Swords too. But King of Swords is more of an advisor. God, it's Mercury retrograde, and I feel like I'm all over the place. But anywho, but it's releasing this to make room for the King of Cups, whether that's a physical water sign person, right? Like romantic person, or it could simply just be you achieving this state within yourself, which is dominion over your emotions. And I'm gonna clarify that just because I'm nosy, but how you would do that. Oh man, letting go. Letting go. I said this for Scorpio, I think. Was that Scorpio? So Leo, if you have Scorpio in your chart, I said that in Scorpio's reading last month. It was, I'm willing to relinquish control of everything in my life but this. I want to keep this. So it's needing to let go of something that you've been holding on to your detriment. Something that's been closing off your heart chakra, closing off your crown chakra. So inadvertently preventing you from receiving inspiration from spirit, as well as blocking your heart chakra. So almost blocking you from receiving love or giving it. So it's creating like an energy of stagnation. So how it is that you either achieve emotional balance within the self, or how you allow someone in, is by releasing this, because I feel like it's a self-protection. You know what I mean? And in so many words, if you align with each of these things, you choose to walk away whenever something is having more dominion over your emotions than you, or you feel your emotions are having more dominion, or if something seems to be, I just cannot talk, y'all. It's like all of my verbal prowess is just dead. But anyway, if something is dominating you in any facet of your life, or you're stepping out of alignment with your truth, it's getting those things in balance, or getting rid of a person who provokes any of these unbalances in you or self-denials in you, to open your to create the space for a person that is going to be balanced and aligned. So more or less a mirror reflection of you, right? But it's a need to release whatever that is. And if you're a Scorpio, I would go back and look at the Scorpio reading for the end of February, because I said that it was a person who's like, I'm ready for new, but everything but this type of deal. You know, or if you're, you know, married to a Scorpio or dating a Scorpio or what have you. But the thing is the holding on is what's been blocking what you've been desiring for coming in, even if that's, you know, it could be a renewal in a relationship. We got the woman holding the heart. This is so funny. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. That's it upright. And we got 4 and 4. Very interesting. But it's in reverse. So that's emotionally unavailable, right? So the thing is that this whole process, so whether this is you, whether you're male or female, it doesn't really matter. It's just the simple, because, you know, of course, this is general, but it's just the simple fact that I'm looking at it as this blocking of the heart, and it only spreads to the crown, and why he's covered in the blackness is because that creates stagnation. You know what I'm saying? Because it's stepping out of flow with spirit. So it inadvertently blocks your heart and takes you out of flow, right? So it's more or less letting this go so we can turn this upright so that our heart is open to allow this person in, if that's making sense, right? I hope that's making sense, y'all. I don't know. I literally feel like I'm rambling my face off. I have no idea if I'm making sense whatsoever. This always happens for Mercury retrograde for me, man. It's like I feel like I'm talking out of my head. And it's like my brain is like, what is she saying? What is she talking about? Did we clear this? I don't know if we cleared this. Are we in alignment with that? I don't know, y'all. Y'all gonna let me know in the comments. I hope and pray that that makes sense, Leo. Because I know y'all been waiting. But more or less, yes, this is more or less prepping you to combat any blockages that you have to your heart space, or any emotional unavailability. It's like a mini little transformation to cultivate balance in your life, to prepare you for a King of Cups person or circumstance. I keep saying person because I really feel it as a person. Okay, we have Spider, and it says, trust the creative spark you're feeling and express it through writing stories that inspire and enlighten. Ooh, I diggy that. That's our little King of Wands energy there. Weaving webs of stories and things. And see, the vibe I get from that is so interesting. So for somebody, I feel like say if this is one of those really crazy, tumultuous, like romantic relationship type of deals, right? It's like channeling this experience into a book. So it's more or less you coming out of this healing space and you having that hindsight of that, you know, the objectivity, like the Five of Wands, like not being in the midst of the chaos. It's ceasing fire, stepping out of it, and then getting that, you know, what do they say, that hindsight is 20/20? It's more or less looking back at this situation. And like I tell you guys all the time, your experiences in life are a blueprint for someone else to get them out of a stuck situation. So it may be, you know, a karmic relationship that you were in, or a toxic relationship, abusive relationship, or dating a narc or what have you. And either turning that into a fictional story, or literally, you know, like a self-help book or something along those lines, to help someone else who may be in a relationship such as that, like a survival guide or how to get out type of situation, right? So I'm gonna pick one more card for you guys and let you go, because we are at right under 40 minutes. I'm so sorry, Leo. I really pray that this makes sense, y'all. I'm gonna go stand in my grass after this, because I feel like I need to ground. Whew. because thinking about the energy that I feel, if some of y'all are dealing with somebody that's like narcissistic, I feel you. Like, I legit feel you, because the feeling I'm feeling, and it keeps creeping back up, is very similar to what I used to feel a lot in my marriage. Not even joking. It's just that walking on eggshells, like, it's like almost like a hypervigilance is the word. It's like, that's how I feel. Like, I'm scared almost. You know what I'm saying? Not scared from my life, but it's like scared, like a constant unrest of like me running through my mind. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? You know what I'm saying? Like, do they understand me? Does this make sense? Da, 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 da. It's like that's the kind of thing. And that's a familiar emotion to me. And that's what keeps rising up in me in this moment. So, of course, then you guys are in an abusive relationship. Y'all already know why I post all those resources that I post at the bottom of all of these videos, is that there's always someone you can reach out to for help. You know what I'm saying? Whew. But this feeling is very familiar, you know? Okay, that one's stuck. All right. So 2 cards came out. We have... Every time I see this card, it makes me think of Dave Chappelle saying Lake Minnetonka. I swim in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Anywho, longing for home. That's not how you say that word, by the way. I can't say it, but anywho. Longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. Oh, I do love this card. This card talks about like the original like starseed peoples that came on Earth and how their planet was destroyed. And how people who are part of this soul group usually feel a longing for home and never really feel like they belong. You know what I mean? But to me, I look at this also as, like I was saying, writing that book, this to me is confirmation you're a light worker, because of course you're here to raise the overall consciousness of the planet. You know what I mean? So every hardship that you've endured in your life is a light to another person. So in whatever way you want to express that, it doesn't necessarily have to be writing, but in any way that you decide to bless the world with your gifts and with your story, I would say spinning Mercury retrograde, attuning with that, you know, stepping into that power and truly believing that you have something to offer the world. Because it could be a little bit, especially if you're coming out of a situation with someone who's narcissistic, there's always the question of worthiness. Am I good enough? Can I do this? Do I deserve this? Do I have the tools? And I'm here to tell you, yes, absolutely you do. But at the same time, when we're feeling alone in the midst of that, that's why, you know, a tribe or community is so important, because, and I can say that from my own personal experience, because I have a tribe that is very, very important to me, you know, and I tell them all the time of how needed this is. It's like, I wish that, you know, every awakening came automatically with a soul tribe so you could iron stuff out with them, you know, but it's more or less, I want to say, and I don't want to take too long, y'all, because this reading is so long, but it's how this lady is going in search of home. It's you working with spirit. Like, if you don't know anyone, if there's no one around you that, you know, has your beliefs or understands what the heck you're doing, it's, you know, maybe offering up a prayer and manifesting that into your life, you know, visualizing that. Or, you know, there's a ton of online communities. Heck, come join ours, you know, links are below. But anyway, next card we have, oh my gosh, it's the words that Louisiana Princess can't say. What is that? Lemuria? Creating heaven on earth. It's happening. Back to that manifestation, man. It's all about that inner space. It's that inner Eden and manifesting that beauty within, without. So it's the reverse of how we're conditioned to manifest power. Lastly, we have our little word of wisdom, which is not so little. Thought is pure energy. Every thought you have ever had, and ever will have, is creative. The energy of your thought never, ever dies. Ever. It leaves your being and heads out into the universe, extending forever. A thought is forever. I think this is probably one of the heaviest cards in this deck, because it makes you want to recheck your mental space. Because it's true. I call it all recycled truth. And I've said 1,000 times before, there's absolutely nothing new under the sun. There's absolutely nothing that we can do that has not already been done in some form or another. It's recycled truth. So even with our thought space, and I even say that for myself, it makes you want to be more cognizant about even what you're thinking, because energy can't be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred into different forms. So anything negative, and that's kind of why, and we were talking about this in the group too, like we were talking about how a thought, like in the Bible, they say a thought is a sin already, like it's counted as a sin. This is why. It's like just thinking it is a sin, quote unquote. But I look at the word sin as error, which means, like, in essence, this being out of alignment with spirit, right? Something that doesn't serve your highest good and stagnates you. So in other words, why it would be considered that is because you may not have acted on it, but it's gone out into the world. You've given birth to it now, you know? So it's more or less wanting to be more cognizant of our thought space, which is of utmost importance. To not get a little too deep here, that's what this whole thing is about. It's all about gaining dominion over the mind, because the mind is the battlefield. It's the fertile ground from which everything manifests, you know? And I'm hearing Craig David. Wow. I'm walking away from the trouble in my life. I'm walking away. I did a horrible job at singing that. Every Leo, don't unsubscribe from me. I love you. But that's been your reading, Leo. But keep that in mind, man. Thoughts are things. I had an 8-year-old tell me that before. Miss Princess, thoughts are things. And I stole that and started telling my clients like it was some fancy counselor speak. Yeah, 8-year-old, I stole from you. What you gonna do about it? Anyway, Leo, I hope that that reading made sense. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments whether it did or it didn't. If it didn't, I'm sorry. Still love you. But I will see you guys sooner than later. Deuces.
Energy, about to get in and fuck up the industry.